church. My grandfather was a pastor. My mom and dad always took us to church. So I always had Christ in my life. My father was abusive, very abusive. He sent my mom to the hospital several times. And I remember several incidents as a child where our house was completely destroyed because of his abusiveness. He would destroy the house and we'd have to clean it up. The cops would come and ask him to leave, and it finally got better. I thank God that he is finally out of the abusive stage that he was in and has grown up, but it has destroyed our family. My parents got divorced when I was only 10 years old, and my mom had to raise seven children by herself, basically, and so it was a rough childhood. When I grew up and was out on my own, probably about 18 or 19, I just was trying to fill the void of my father not being in my life as much, like, a father should be. And so I turned to other men and had several sex partners, and of course that never replaced my father's love for me, and that never filled that void in my heart. I knew Christ was there, but at that time I had slipped away from him. And then when I was 23 years old, I fell in love with this guy that was the next door neighbor of my childhood, and we moved in together, and we got pregnant. And after only knowing for a week that I was pregnant, I lost my baby. And I then slipped into a depressive state. And I was probably there for at least 6 months, almost a year, before I finally, I was still going to church. I was still there, involved in the church, and I was still going, and I still believed, but something was holding me back, bondage. Something was bonding me and holding me back from God, so I didn't fully accept him into my life. And then I went to a prayer meeting, and this young lady, Ariana Denny, she's 5 years younger than me, 6 years maybe, and she just laid her hands on me and asked God to take my pain away. And at that very moment that she laid her hands on me and was praying for me, I could just feel the bondage being lifted from me. I felt like leaving. I left that church, 10 pounds lighter and freer. I could actually move, and I was ready to move on with my life. And I got over the fact that God had taken my child away from me, because I strongly believe that he does all things for a reason. But I know that when I'm up in heaven with God, he's going to introduce us. This is my child, and this was your child, and his name is whatever. And a year later, I met this guy, and he led me to believe that we were going to be together forever. And at the time he was married and he had family, and he had told me that they were divorced, they were separated, just waiting on the money to get divorced. And I was naive, believed him, because my faith wasn't as strong as it should have been. And so I decided that I was going to go meet him. And 9 months later, I have a little boy, and he's the love of my life, and I wouldn't do anything without him, and I wouldn't change it for a minute. But I'm not proud of the situation we're in. His father has nothing to do with him, and he's only seen him once or twice in his 5 years, and that was only because he was trying to get something out of it for himself instead of actually having a relationship. But I know that God does everything for a reason. I'm currently the youth pastor at a church just outside of Gerard. I've changed my life around, and all I care about is Jesus. And raising my little boy so that he cares about Jesus. Jesus is his hero, right?